Matlock here for Free Body, and I'm about to give you some really simple skills and tools so you can take care of yourself and feel awesome. Do me a favor, if the things that I teach you help you today, drop a comment, let us know, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Go ahead and subscribe to this channel. I'm producing a lot of material right now and putting out lots of videos to help you. So subscribe, like, drop us a comment, and I truly hope that this work serves you well. The smaller myofoam ball, and we're going to work first the flexor or the extensors in the back of the arm, and then we're going to work in the flexors here. So in these extensors here on the back of the arm, from the elbow down just a couple inches. So here's how you get there. Take your hand and lay your hand along your thigh. And then now this ball is going to be placed right there, right below the elbow. And then you can just lean in. So I'm going to step back so you can see more of my whole body. And then so just play with up and down. You start a little below so that you bend your knees and you go up. See how my hand is just resting along my thigh. That makes it easier to stabilize the ball. And the arm is a tube, right? So you got to go side to side. You got to explore from just below the elbow joint, down a little bit, and down a little bit more. Just getting into the meat. Just getting into the meat there. Oh my goodness, that's so good. So I'd like you to find 3 tender spots in each of these. In this area, we're going to do 3 tender spots in the flexors and extensors on both sides. As you lean in and hold a tender spot, you could wave the wrist a little bit. Just move the thigh out of the way, wave the wrist. And that will help release some of that tension. There, that one feels so much better. And a little click that I was having in my wrist just went away. So now I'm going to go a little bit to the back. So I turned, I'm a little bit toward the back of and the very outside of the elbow. And so this area, here I am on the side, very outside of the forearm, following around just below the elbow, right in there. This is a place where that ulnar nerve can get entrapped, right? And it gets pulled. So we want to spend some good amount of time. If you're having that ulnar nerve issue, you want to make sure that you get some good attention right there. So see, my hand has turned more now. I'm a little bit away from here, because I want to turn and get a little bit more toward the back of that elbow. And your points may be somewhere else. You just are exploring, right? Notice my shoulder is staying neutral. I'm not doing this. I'm moving my whole body and keeping my shoulder neutral, because I don't want to agitate and I don't want to activate these muscles here. I want to just use my legs. Ooh, so good. Let's find one more spot. I'm going to turn more this way toward the wall. That's a good spot for me. When you find a tender spot, couple deep breaths. Maybe you do a little waving of the hand at the wrist flexion extension. After a few breaths, and you can take longer, you can lay on a point for a minute or so, if that's how your body is going to respond best. You want to do at least 1 deep breath. And up and down. Oh, okay, give me a little bit of that snakiness. Moving those muscles through their range of motion. Scooping. Now what I feel is an ache right here. Right now, my wrist flexors are like, hey, give me some of that attention. So this is how we're going to move into those wrist flexors. We're going to take the hand behind the back. These muscles can be difficult to get enough pressure on. Some folks do it on the desktop or on a table, but then you can't have you got to have enough strength in your shoulders to push that. So what I do is I just like bring my arm behind me and put the ball there. You can even use a smaller ball if you've got it, like one of those, just a smaller ball. And then I lay in. So my palm is at the wall. And then I'm working just below that elbow joint. Just in that couple inches below the elbow joint. Sinking in, moving a little side to side, checking different angles. Staying in that couple of inches, just 2 inches below the elbow. So I'm gonna move back out this way. So good. So Rebecca, I don't know if you're here today, but this is also for you, that outer line, that weird wrist thing that you're having. I hope that this helps you, and please send me a message and let me know. And then you might find a tender spot, find a way to relax. Okay. I'm going to show you quickly how I also will work my forearms on the floor. So if you're using the ball on the arms, keep going. I'm going to show you really quickly. It takes a certain amount of flexibility to be able to do this position. So I'm going to show that to you right now. Another way that you can work with your forearms is to lay the forearm on the floor and then take the opposite knee and shin. Works best to here, right? So wrist flexors, you just put that opposite knee and shin on the forearm itself. Ah, so good. Wiggle. So if you can get into this position and you have real wrist flexor and extensor issues, this is a nice way to work it. Sinking in. Now that wrist ache is gone for me. I'm doing some of the snakes, moving the wrist around. All right, we're gonna go back up to the wall. Right, that was intense, like the knee in the forearm, but boy, does that clear stuff really quickly. So good. Arm down along the leg. Just getting into this couple inches. So bring the ball down to the bottom of that 2 inches from the elbow. Palm along the thigh. And then as you bend and straighten, you go up and down that 2 inches. And you might flick the ball, you might have to chase it across the wall because it's chunky there, right? See that? Clunk, 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 clunk. Those muscles are always chunky if you use your arms. Like if you use your arms, those muscles are ropey and chunky, and that's okay. Learn that that's just the shape of them. What we want is for them to not feel painful when you press on them, or to be experiencing any pain and ache in the elbow, in the wrist. This practice is really good for you if you have tennis elbow, lateral epicondylitis. This extensor area right below the joint, and then also the triceps right above the elbow joint is a really good way to release the muscles that are pulling on that elbow joint. Every once in a while, stop moving, sink. Maybe do a little flick of the wrist. Resist the temptation to look down. See if you can feel without looking at it. Can you feel and look up, and maybe even arch up a little bit, taking some of that compression out of the neck again. And maybe turning more toward the wall. Moving a little more toward the front area of the forearm. So if this area is rich with tenderness, it's an area you're going to want to spend some more time on. And taking some breaths, which means you can do this again later today. You can do it if you have a spot that's really stuck in your body. You can get on that trigger point 5-6 times in one day. Just give a little space in between. When I feel that headache that starts up the side of the neck and wraps around the side of the head, and that's an upper trapezius headache, I'll go, oh, there's that upper trapezius trying to lock up. I'll release that point, and then the headache tones down. And then an hour later, I can feel it coming back up. I release that point, the headache tones down. And in that way, after about 6 or 7 times in the day, then it doesn't come back up. Then that trapezius has softened enough where it's not going to give me a headache. I hope that made sense. Okay, so now we're going to switch to now the back of the arm, which is the under part of the forearm. So laying that hand, you can get down on the floor and use the opposite knee for this part with the palm up and bringing that opposite knee down on the floor. Or you can take that arm behind you and just lean into that upper section. So finding a tender spot, sinking in. That one has a little tingly to it, so I'm going to sink in. I'm going to wave my arm here as well. I'm going to give you just 2 more breaths on the forearm and the left arm. All right.